Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be going over Figma. It's going to be a Figma crash course for those that are new in design, and we need a walkthrough video on how to use Figma. So if you don't have an account, go to figma.com and create an account, figma.com, and set up your account, and then we can get started. So to create an account, you will need to click on Get Started. You can also see the pricing model for Figma. So, but for this tutorial, you don't need a premium account. A premium account gives you access to maybe like create multiple themes, add video to your files and others, but you don't need it for this free account because you can do almost everything I'm going to teach you on this tutorial with the free account. So let's get started with the free account. So to create the free account, you will need to probably sign up with your email or use Google to do that. You put your email address and then your password and then get started. And you write your name. So I'm going to write Mabel as my name. And then what kind of work do? You select what kind of work you do. I do design. So how will you primarily use Figma? I'll say for work, you can say for personal and for work, but I'm going to choose for personal because I'm going to use it to teach basically for this. Then you agree to Figma's mailing list. You want to be receiving a mailing list from Figma. I don't want to, so I'm going to just go ahead and create an account. So, and when you create an account, you will need to verify your Figma, verify your email with Figma. So I'll go ahead and verify my Figma and then we'll come back to the Figma file. When you are done signing up, this is the first interface you see. This is where all your files are saved. This is where all your files are saved. And if you create any theme, it will appear here, right? You can see theme project. I've not created any theme, and just a new account, just as the one you created, right? You can see your drafts, like all the products, all the projects you are going to work on, all the projects you work on, they will all be here. Then your recent files will be saved here. You can if you notice my interface is showing black, that's dark theme. It's because it's using my system setting, which is on dark mode. So you can come to the right hand side of your screen and then change it to any of these options, right? I can put it on my system what they call settings because it's already on dark mode, and I can change it to light depending. So let's use a light screen. So this is actually basically just like when you're done watching this video, you can come and explore here. You can see all the files. You can also see all the files that Figma has provided for you, like Figma Basics, just basically walking you through on how to use some certain elements and tools in Figma. You can see wireframe. So by the time we start talking about wireframe, maybe different levels of wireframing, low fidelity, mid fidelity, and high fidelity. You can utilize any of these to execute your project. Then you can see like theme library, they'll provide you with a set of mini design system that you can use to work on your project. On Figma community, this is where you see like series of designs that have been done by others. You can come here, you can come to the Figma community to take inspiration. So let's say you want to search for a traveling app. So we search for a traveling app, and you can see like some apps that have been designed by other designers. You can go through each of them or anyone that captures your interest to see what they've designed. This one is store and traveling booking app UI kit. So this one is a UI kit. A UI kit means that you can buy it, then modify it to use in your project. Probably you got a project from a client and you just want to use a fast process. You don't want to start from scratch. Then you can buy it, or probably you just want to buy it to take an inspiration or just get access to it. So that's what basically that one is. So we're not going to use that one because it won't be editable. Let's look for the one that we can actually like modify or maybe edit to show something. I think I like this one. This one looks kind of editable. So when you open it, for you to make use of it on your Figma file or in your Figma file, you can just get a copy. So when you come on your Figma file, because we open this, let's open a new file. Let's open a new file before we come to that. So when you want to open it, the Figma file, just like click on this new design and it's going to open up a new Figma file for you, right? And it's going to open up a new Figma file for you. The first thing you have to do when you are designing is to, because this is new, you can take a look around, but I'm just going to close it. So when you open your Figma design file, the first thing you're going to do is to name your file. So it will not be like untitled, so and this one doesn't look professional, right? So I'm going to name this file. They just call it a Figma crash course. Yeah, because this is what this is about. This is what this tutorial is about. So now the name of our file is Figma crash course. If we go back to Figma crash course, if we go back to our design, what's it called, file, like where our designs are saved, you will see that this file is named Figma crash course. Now that you're here, this interface looks blank, but you can do a whole lot of things here. You can do a whole lot of things here. Here, this place that we are, this center part is called your canvas area. This is where you design. This is where you can drop elements, design, move things, touch things, like come up with a series of ideas on how to. This is basically where your design happens, right? I'm just going to delete this, select and delete. So this part is your layer panel. This area is your layer panel. So any element you draw, any element you pick, it puts down the name. You can see the name of this one is frame. If I bring a rectangle and drop it, it shows me that this is a rectangle that I dropped. If I type something, it shows me that, oh, that this is a text. You can see text and so on. So this is your layer panel, and this is your property panel. This is any element that you select, be it a rectangle, an ellipse, a triangle, whatever it is, you're going to see their properties. For example, this rectangle, maybe this shape that I selected here, these are the properties of this shape, and I can go into any of these properties and modify the property. I can add stroke, I can add effects, but we'll come to that shortly. So that's it. So at the top here, the top part of this place, the top part of this interface here is your toolbar. You understand? This is where this is where you get access to tools that will enable you to modify your design, that creates those amazing designs that you asked, right, to create, right? This is where you can get the tools that will enable you to do that. So here is your layer panel, here is your tool panel, and here is your property panel. Let's start with the tool panel because we're going to be discussing the three of them hand in hand all together. So this first element, this first tool that is selected is called the move tool. You can see, you can select it by clicking on it, or maybe by clicking V on your system. So what the move tool basically does is it helps you to move your element. You can move it from here to here, you can move it from here to here, you can move it from anywhere you like. You can move your element. It helps you to move the elements, or maybe your element of designs from anywhere to somewhere else, right? That's what it basically does. Then this one is scale tool. When you click on this drop down, you're going to see your scale tool, and your scale tool helps you to scale your elements proportionally. You can see it scales it top and bottom, left and right. Yes, it helps to scale it proportionally. If I deselect this, or select this what's it called, scale tool, and try to scale it, you can see this thing is just like wobbling. It's not scaling proportionally, right? It's just scaling on one-sided, and most times it might not be ideal. Let's say you're working with an image. Let's bring an image in. Let me bring an image in. I don't know if I have access to any image here. Yeah, okay. Let me bring an image in. Just give me a minute. Okay, let's say this is an image, right? I brought this image in. If we scale this image proportionally with a scale tool, right? We use a scale tool to scale it. You can see all the parts are maintained. You can see nothing is just distorting, right? Everything is still equal. It's just that it's a smaller version of what we started with. If I scale it up, you can see everything is scaling proportionally. But if I unselect this what's it called, scale tool, and try to scale this without that, you can see it's just like distorting the image. You can see it has distorted this image. You can see it even spoiling the image, and it doesn't look professional at all, right? So when you want to scale your elements, you can use your scale tool, or you can press down on your shift on your Windows laptop, maybe your Mac laptop. Press down on shift and then scale. So you can see, because I'm pressing down on shift and scaling with my mouse, is scaling proportionally, right? So either of these options will help you to scale your images or your elements proportionally. And it's also good when you're scaling maybe like typeface or font. Let's say your font, let me type font and increase the size, right? So if I want to scale this one without having to come to the property to start selecting and changing, I'll just press down on K, or come here to select the scale tool. You can see the shortcut is scale, or maybe just press down and select it, and I can scale up this font. But if I don't select it and scale up, it doesn't work. Even when I press down on shift and scale, it doesn't still work. So that scale tool works on your font or your typeface as well. I'm going to keep this image because we'll need it later. Then you have the second tool, which is called a frame. This enables you to select a frame. Basically is like a container. What a container does is that it houses every other element. If I have this, what is it called? Let's say this is a text that I wrote. I put it here. Anywhere this container goes, it goes with the text. So the container is housing this element called text. Like this is a house. This container is like a house that allows every other element to stay inside it, right? Then if I take another element and drop inside, it stays there. If I take another element to store it. So now what is the difference between this container and just like an ordinary shape, right? Like this rectangle. The difference is that this rectangle stays on its own. It doesn't house other elements. It stays on its own. You can see if I move this, it's moving. This one is on its own. This one is on its own. So that's the difference between an ordinary shape and a container. And when you are designing interfaces like your mobile interface, your desktop interface, you're designing for maybe like tablets, you use container, use your frames to design it, right? It makes life a whole lot of, easier for you, right? But if you must use a shape and another element, maybe you really want to use these two elements together, what you would do is to like group the two of them by pressing Ctrl G or Command G on your MacBook, right? So if you press Ctrl G, you've grouped it. When you go to the layer panel, you can notice, you'll see that, oh, now this is a group, right? This is a group. It has changed to group, and you can rename the group. You can rename it maybe like shape, right? You can rename it like shape. And when you also go to the layer panel, you can notice that, yes, this is a frame, right? And when you open up the frame, you can see that this frame has a shape inside, and it also has a text inside. I can also choose to rename the frame. You can call it maybe like container. Any name you want, you can always rename it. Once you rename it, the name changes on displays as well. You can see. So moving on, that's it for a frame. Then frames also, when you're designing for mobile screens, right? When you click on it, you'll see like all the screens that you can design for. You have your Surface Pro 8 for tablets. You have this iPad mini H3. You have iPad Pro, that's for tablets. If you want to select mobile the size for mobile that you use, you click down on this drop down and to open up all the mobile screens that you can use. The same thing applies for desktop. You can see all the desktop screens that you can use. The same thing applies for presentation. Maybe you want to create slides for your presentation. You can use this to do that. For if you're designing for smaller and tiny devices like wristwatch, you can see all the sizes that you can use. The same thing applies to this for A4 paper. Maybe you are using, you're designing, want to use A4 paper, you can use any of these options. For your social media platforms, if you're looking to know the size to use for your social media post or something, you can see all of them, like Instagram posts, you can see your header, you can see Figma community. Maybe you want to post on Figma community like I showed you, you can see all the sizes. If I want to post the panel, you can see plugins, cover, you can see all the options. Then your archives, you can see them. So just select based on what you are designing. So let's assume we are designing for mobile. Select this iPhone 3 mini. iPhone 13 mini. Select iPhone 13 mini. We are designing for mobile, we're designing for tablet, right? Select the tablet, right? And we are designing for desktop, right? Let's select desktop. You can select this one. You can see there are different sizes, right? This is your desktop, this is your iPad, that's your tablet screen size. Then this is your mobile. You can also choose to double click and name it. You can call it mobile, right? Because we've not started designing or giving it any name. This one you can call it tablet, right? And this one you can call it desktop. It already has the name. You can call it desktop. So if you're designing for a desktop screen, you can use this size. If you're designing for your mobile, tablet screen, you can use this. If you're designing for mobile screen, you can use this as well. So either of that's how to select screen sizes for your design. So I'm just going to select and delete this. You can always pull that up. That's it for design. Then for your selection, what your selection helps you do is to help you organize your design. Let me copy these screens here, right? Let me copy these screens here and paste them, right? Let me paste them and paste them, right? Paste and paste. So now that I've pasted, let me copy and paste again by pressing down on Alt and dragging. And I can press down on Ctrl D to duplicate them as well. Get like on the same line and follow the same, line of duplicating or method of duplicating. So now let's say I have these designs. Let's say I have these designs, and these designs that like I've designed them and they are under, let's say they are under maybe like login. Like these are the login flow that I've designed for this login that I've designed for it, right? Let me reduce the size of this. These are the login flow that I've designed for this, maybe the product I'm building, right? And I want my developers to know that, oh, this is it. So instead of me having this, I can just use my section, right, to just group them, right, put them on that section, and I can move them around anywhere. And I'm just teaching you the most basic use of this section. There are other info for this introductory video. I'm just going to teach you this. So I can just call it like login. So whenever the developer or maybe anybody that wants to view the design comes, they will always see the name of the flow, right? What the flow is about. You can also leave a little note about it in case you want to add additional info around it, right? So that's basically the work of a section. Then you have this slide doesn't really do much, but let's just move on to another tool. Then you have your rectangle, or maybe your rectangle. So by default is a rectangle. If you want to draw a perfect square, press down on Shift so you can draw a perfect square. If you want to draw a perfect square, press down on Shift. If you don't want a perfect square, just click and draw and you get a rectangle, right? You can see this is a rectangle and this is a square, and they both have their different properties. Let's start with this. So for a square, you can modify the sides, you can modify the corner radius. The corner radius is this curved part. You can see corner radius. So when you hover on any of these property elements, when you hover on any of these property elements, you see what they do. You can see this one is rotation, this one is corner radius. You can independent corners. If I want to give them independent corners, so let's start with this corner radius. If I want to give it a corner radius, if I want to give it a corner radius of 100, like all of them should have the same corner radius. You can see I can just type it here manually, or I can change it here, just drag and change the corner radius here. But if I want them to have like independent corner radiuses, like I want this one to have a different corner radius, I want this one to have a different, then I can open this independent corner radius and then maybe like change this one to 0 and then change this one to 0. You can see this place is pointed, like the edge is sharp because it doesn't have a corner radius. The corner radius is 0, and the same thing applies to this one. You can see you've created like a great design from here. So this is the property of, this is one of the properties of this square. I mean this shape, right? You can change the width. I can either choose to change the width manually by dragging it, or by increasing or decreasing it horizontally. I can choose to change the height by increasing or decreasing it vertically. You can see, or maybe I can choose to change it on this place. You can see when you are dragging right, you are adding. When you are dragging left, you are subtracting, right? The same thing applies to this. When you are dragging right, you are adding. When you are dragging left, you are subtracting. You can see it making changes on this what's it called, this shape here. That's it for this upper part. Then this one is the X and Y axis, to move it up, to move it left and right, or to move it up and down, which is basically what you can just do with your move, to move it up, the left and right and stuff, right? Then you can choose to either rotate. So either is you choose to rotate manually, which is maybe like once you hover on the tip of the shape, or maybe the element, this mouse, your cursor changes to an arc, and you can then like rotate to any angle you want to rotate it, right? Or you can just also do it here. You can rotate it here. This is like rotation. You can see, you can rotate it here, right? And then rotate it to any angle you want. So left is rotating clockwise. I mean, right is rotating clockwise, and left is rotating anti-clockwise. So any of the options that you want, you can have like several controls to do that. Then you have your layer. How do you want to see? Do you want to see like normally? You want to see it darken? Do you want to see it multiply? You can see it's changing different layer colors. Again, do you want to see it on screen on that? You can see it changing, right? Let's change it back to normal. That property, most times it actually work on images. Maybe you don't want to use the original color of an image. You can just come here to modify, like just be checking how this image changes for these different like what's it called, layer styles. You can see the layer style. This one is color bond. This one is lighting, that's almost disappeared. This one is on screen, you can still see it, right? This one is color dodge. This one is overview, and so on. You can just put an image and then try it out. I will show you guys how to bring in an image. Like for example, it has given it another new and beautiful color from what we started with, right? So let's take it back to normal. Right, I just wanted to show you guys that. Back to our shape. So then you can also modify the color of your shape. You can see you can modify the color of your shape. And choose to use that. This is solid. Solid means just one color. You can choose to use linear. Linear means it's coming from one side to another, like the color is flowing from one end to another. So you can have like two types of colors, or you can have multiple but flowing on a single line. So the color is flowing on a single line. It could be maybe like left to right. It could maybe like top to bottom. It could maybe like from this angle to the other angle, depending on the flow you want. And you can change the color field, right? The color flow the way you want it. You can see this one will just increase it. and we can change it to blue. You can see now it's flowing from purple to blue. You can change, you can modify it, you can add another color in the middle. Maybe let's add something like, you can choose to add another color by just clicking. You're adding new colors, right? You can see you have purple, you have red, you have another blue, and we have another shade of blue, right? You can choose to have it radial. Radial means it's coming from the center and it's spreading to other parts of the design. You have angular, it's coming from an angle. You can see it, the name like specify what it does. So you can use this what's it called, properties, to create amazing things. You can see how this one is turning out and it's becoming great. You can choose diamond. This one shows that it has a diamond shape and it created like diamond flow for you. You can choose to adjust it and you see how the design is flowing, like the angle of the design is actually like going everywhere, right? Then you have your image. So you can choose to like bring an image through like that. So you can see this gives you like, this is an image placeholder and you can always add an image to your design. Let's say this is an image that we want to add. Then you can see we've added the image of this lady. We can choose to crop and then adjust the image of the lady to match our desired what's it called, level that I want it to be. I said the lady is even smiling, right? So that's the property. So you can choose to maybe like add a video. Because this is my Figma account is a pro account, right? The one I'm using currently is a pro account, so I can add a video. But if you're using the free account, you might not be able to add a video. Okay, yeah, this one is actually on the free account, not the, I thought I was using my pro account. So this one is this what's it called, feature is for like paid Figma accounts. So you will not be able to like add a video because it's not paid for. But once you upgrade your Figma account to a paid account, you'll be able to like add videos to your design, right? Let's go back to the image, right? And that is it for this. Let's go back to our color and remove the image. Let's go back to our color and remove the image. We'll come back to that. So then you have, this is a shape, right? I removed the image from it and added the color back. Then you can add stroke. You can add stroke and increase the size of the stroke. You can see you can either choose to leave the stroke inside. I mean, the stroke is inside the shape or the element, or you can choose to bring it out. You can see the difference between inside and out. I'm not sure there is much difference between center, but just try them out to see which one you prefer. You can choose to increase the size of the stroke. You can choose to make the stroke to be just on any part or any side of the image. You can choose to make it to be at the top only. You can choose to make it to be at the bottom. You can choose to make it be at the right, the left, or something. Or you can choose to use a customized what's it called, stroke style. You can choose to make this one 72 and the other one you can make it like 30. Then this one you can make it like 1. This one you can make it like 10. And the 4 parts of these, they have like different stroke sizes and styles. Then you can choose to like change the color of the stroke as well, modify the color of the stroke to your taste or maybe your preference, right? So when you want to add a stroke, you add by clicking on this plus. The same thing applies to color by clicking on the plus. Now I want to remove the strokes, right? I just want to remove them because we'll not be needing them. So I'm going to click on this minus sign and then take it away. Then you have effects. I'm going to change the color of this, what's it called, this shape, so that we can see the effects that we'll be adding. So you add effects. This is where you can add your drop shadow. Once you click on plus, it by default is on drop shadow. So you can increase the blurriness of your drop shadow. You can see it's increasing, like it's blurring the drop shadow and it's making it more pronounced, right? You can choose to increase the opacity of your shadow or decrease it to make it a soft shadow. Either way, just know you can choose to change the color of your shadow, right? You can see the shadow has changed color. You can choose to change the color of your shadow to any color that you want. You can choose to reduce the opacity as well and increase it and change it to any color that you want. You can choose to put the shadow inside the element. You can see the shadow is now inside the element, and I can also modify it, right? I can also change the color of the shadow, inner shadow. I can change it to any color that I want, right? Any of that. Then you can choose to blur the layer. I can choose to blur this. So let me change the color of this so you can see how it blurs out, right? You can choose to blur it. So increasing the blurriness, we have to blur it and blur it and blur it and blur it. This can be used to create an amazing effect. In our subsequent video, we are going to like use something like this to create awesome effects for our design, right? So this is how you can actually use the blur to blur out the element. So I'm going to remove the effects and bring the shape back to its original state, right? To its original state. So that's basically for shape. Then you have like exporting. We'll come to exporting later. That's it. Then that's it for shape. So all these shapes here, you can try them out and see what they do. For this shape, all the shape as well, you can try them out to see what they do. You have your lines. When you draw your lines, you can modify their sizes, the size of the stroke, right? Whether to give them a rounded corner or maybe give it an edge, an edge style, either to the left part or the right side, or maybe both, right? You can choose to give it any of them. You can say this one has that. You can also give this one this, or maybe give it another style, right? So it has something like this, and you can rotate it, can give it a color. All the properties that you use for your shape, you can use it. The only thing you can't do here is maybe like give it a corner, but if you want it to be curved, if you want it to have like a rounded edge, you can see like the edge is rounded because I changed it. And this one also, if you want to give it a rounded edge, you can give it a rounded edge as well. If you want it to be dotted, you don't want it to be a solid stroke, you can give it like this, make it like this. And this will actually help you in terms of your design, like creating amazing stuff. You don't just have like dry things. You can use it to create awesome stuff, right? Your design and make amazing things, right? You can see we use this to create a pattern that can be used in a design. So just basically little things can spice up your work. Then you have the arrow, right? Basically does almost the same thing that your what's it called? Your line does, but just that it has an arrow by default. But once you draw it, it has an arrow. That's only the difference. You can modify it the way you have modified your lines. Then you have your ellipse. Ellipse, if you want to get a perfect circle, a perfect shape generally, just press down on shift to get a perfect circle. If you just want an ellipse, maybe like you don't want it to be a perfect circle, right? Just draw it and it will give you like this wobbling shape and stuff, right? So for this ellipse, it has its own property. You can see this dotted line here. Once you hover on it, it shows you an arc. If you drag it up, it opens up to other properties. So this one here is called a sweep. It helps you to like change the dimension, maybe the size of the opening of this what's it called, ellipse. It helps you to change the size of it. Then you have your ratio. It helps you to like modify the inner part of the shape, and this one helps you to like change the direction of the starting point of the curve, or maybe the shape style, right? Maybe you want to create something like you can just change it. Then you can sweep this one up to make it stay in the middle. You can also like rotate it back to stay there. You can use this thing to create amazing things. Let's say we want to create two parts of a circle where you can actually use it to create pie chart. Is it pie chart? So let's try creating a pie chart with this. Let's try creating a pie chart with this design, this shape now. So we have this one. You can just rotate it to fit, right? And just rotate it to fit, and voila, we have our pie chart. It can be maybe like 60% of ladies like money and 50% of guys like cars. So you can use this to analyze, maybe like creating your pie chart. This one looks a little bit opened. So let's modify it and create something amazing, right? Yeah. So we have something beautiful. So we can choose to change the color, and we can choose to modify this color here as well. You can see we have something cool lying here. So we've created two amazing things now, right? This is still not perfect. Yeah. So I'm not sure it's straight, but we're not looking for perfection here. So that's it for your ellipse, right? Your ellipse also has like the whole property that you can use for this square. The only difference is that it doesn't have a corner radius, but you can add stroke, but it doesn't, you can't modify the size of the stroke because it only basically has only a rounded side, just one. But your square or maybe your rectangle has 4 sides. That's why you're able to modify the size, but you're able to modify the size of the stroke. Yeah, you're able to select if you want it to be inside, outside, or centered. You can choose the color. You can also choose the color of the fill. You can choose the color of the fill of the ellipse. You can choose linear, radial, angular, and so on and so forth, right? That's it for ellipse. Then you have your polygon. Your polygon by default is a triangle. That's 3 sides. For you to increase the sides, you just like, you can see when you hover on this dotted line here, it shows you count. When you take the count up, it increases the sides, the side of the polygon, right? For example, this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is sextagon. I mean, this, yeah, I don't know what that is, but I can remember if it's 5, it's pentagon, right? If it's 8, it's octagon. If it's 9, it's nanogon. I'd be something like that, right? Don't laugh at me. I can't remember all those things, right? So basically, when you are taking it up, right? When you're taking it up, it is counting. That means adding, and you can even add to a perfect circle. If you are taking it down, it is subtracting, and the least part, the least what's the size you can get to is 3 sides, which is a triangle, right? Then you can choose to modify the color and do every other thing you can do to what's it called, that. And you can also not modify the size of the stroke. You can only modify the size of the stroke, but not the stroke sides, right? Then you have your star. Your star is 5 sides by default. 5, that's why you have 5 star. You can choose to increase the size, the number of edges that it has. You can choose to by clicking on this dotted line on it, taking it up or taking it down to reduce it or subtract from it. Taking it up, you can choose to modify the size or maybe how tiny or fat you want it to be. You can choose to modify the radius. You can choose to make it very curved or maybe sharp or curved. You can choose to create multiple sides as well. And the same thing applies. So you can change the color, add shadows, blur it, and add strokes, all those things, modify the stroke and everything. Let's say you want to create it, you can choose to even create it like this and remove the fill inside, and you have created another different design, right? Make it yellow. This yellow looks harsh, right? Something like that. And this is like that design, and you have it like this. Or you can choose to add another color cell. You can choose to add another color and maybe like make it like radial, and you have like multiple colors coming in between the design just to create something beautiful. Don't know why it's becoming weird. Yeah, just to create something beautiful. And you can add like other colors, right? You can add like other colors to modify it. And you can see this color is not that good on it. Ew. So you just try out things to see how they work, and you can just create from there. Remember, you can sweep and maybe like reduce and increase, depending on what you want. Another way to bring in image again is from here. to bring image. So you can place or image or video, but you can only place image because you're using the free account. So let's select the image. Let's say we want to let's say we want to place an image. We want to put an image here. So you use that style to place an image. So once I click this image on this shape now, it takes the size of the shape. You can see, like, it literally takes the size of this shape and it has become this shape, right? If I want to modify it, I just open the image and click crop and then bring the image down to bring her face down, right? And then position it. So that's how you can bring in an image to the design. I mean, in your design, right? Then you have your pen tool. You basically use your pen tool to draw custom shapes. Maybe like the shape that you want to use, the shape you want to use are not listed here, and you just want to draw your own Gengen shape. You can use this pen tool to draw the shape. You can see I've drawn this one. I've drawn the shape now, right? I can choose to give it a fill, like color, and then remove the stroke. And I can modify it the same way I modified, or maybe change the properties of that square that we edited, right? That's it for pen tool. Then for pencil tool, maybe you want to sketch things. Quickly sketch things. Maybe you're editing with someone. Let me increase the size of the stroke. So you just like basically sketch out things. Maybe you want to tell somebody, oh, we are designing a landing page, and this part you're going to have the hero section, and you are going to have like text here. You're going to have like an image somewhere, and you're going to have something here. Just like to basically sketch out things. If I was using like a drawing pad, it will come out so neat. So you can use this pen tool to draw like amazing things. For those that are into illustrations, can use this to draw out cool things, right? So that's the work of your what's it called, pencil tool, right? That's the work of the pencil tool. So you can try it out and see how you can use it to create what you want to create, right? So going on, I think that's it for it. Then you have your text tool. Your text tool just basically for typing your text, right? For typing. And the text tool has its own properties. You can rotate it, you can increase the size. You can see the size is still like small. You can increase the size, right? I just zoomed in. So to zoom in, you just press down on Control and your color wheel, move it up and down to zoom in and zoom out, right? Your mouse wheel to move it up and down, right? Or maybe Control minus and Control plus to zoom in and zoom out, zoom in. I'm pressing down on Control plus. I don't know what it is on Mac. I think it's Command plus. I don't know. For Mac users, just do what works for you and zooming in and zooming out, right? So zoom in and zoom out for that's Control plus or Control minus. If you are using a mouse and making use of a mouse, it's Control, pressing down on your mouse wheel. So pressing down on Control, you're clicking on your mouse wheel up and down, and you're either either zooming in or zooming out. Yeah. So your text tool, this text tool basically helps you to type your text. You can have like your text written on a single line. You can have like your text box, right? You can have your text box, like you want the text to be limited to this box, and you can type any amount you want to type on this text box. You can choose to increase it later. You can see line there. So you can either use a text box or maybe just type it on a single line. You can increase the size, can increase the weight of your text, you can increase the weight of or size of your text, can increase the weight of your text, increase it or decrease the size of your text, can change the color of your text, you can change the alignment of your text, right? You can change the alignment of your text, either left, right, or center, right? You can change the alignment of it, you can change the color, you can add strokes to your text. Let's say we add a stroke. Let's make the stroke red and increase the size of the stroke. You can see we've added stroke to this, and it's creating an amazing something that can come out great. You can see we use it to create a Gengen style. You can see, so we've added stroke and it's coming out great. to on the design. I can change it to white. Let's see how it comes on. It's not changing, not giving it a good vibe, right? So that's how you can use your shade. You can choose to hide the fill and just show the stroke only. You can choose to reduce the size of the stroke, and you can see something showing you more beautiful things that you can try out and use in your designs, right? So that's it for text tool. Then you have your component panel. This is where you see all the list of components that you've created, like the assets you have. We are going to talk about component. You have your plugins, right? These are where you can see your plugins. We talked about plugins previously, so either you install plugins from there or you install from here. We'll come back to this. Then you have your pan tool. Your pan tool basically helps you to like move around your interface without interfering with any design element. The difference between pan tool is that if I click on this now, this one we have this what's it called? Your move tool helps you to move elements in your design, right? While your pan tool helps you to move around your design. I hope you know the difference. It helps you to move around your design. While your move tool helps you to move the elements in your design. Like you can see the move tool, I can't move around this design. I can only move the elements in the design or maybe my canvas, or I can move with the pan tool. I can move around my design and see stuff, but it's not even interfering with the design elements, just enabling me to like move around the design. Then comment, maybe you design something. Let's say you design something, this is your design, and someone wants to leave a comment on it. Just click on the part that you want to comment and say, oh wow, I like this button, right? I like this button, right? You can leave the message there, and then the person can reply when they come online, right? Can choose to maybe like leave a reply. If it was another person can leave a reply, and you get notified that, oh, someone left a message for you, and you can read through the message. You can also see all the chats. Once you select the chat or maybe the comment, what's it called, tool, you're going to see all the chats that has been all the chats for that what's it called, design. See all the chats there. You can choose to send results. So you can choose to send results. This is all comment. This one is mention and replies, give feedback, right? Let me and put C. You can choose to maybe like sort by unread. You can choose to show result, unresolved, or maybe show result comment. Because I clicked on resolve, that's why it's unresolved comment, right? You can choose to open up only threads. Just select the options and see what they do. But that's how you leave a comment on that. Then you have there's something called when you select an element, you can see, once you select an element, you can see these two here. This one is like for you to edit like the corners, or maybe to edit your element. Once I edit this element, if I want to modify it, I don't want to use this rectangle the way it is. I want to modify. So you click on this tool to modify. You can see, click on it to modify, click on it to modify. Any way you want to modify. I'm just like doing I'm not doing anything necessarily to stuff. So I'm just like showing you how you can use it to just modify it to any, what's it called? The way you will want to use it in your design, in case you want to like modify the design. We've modified this now, we can maybe like use it to create new things. I don't know how we can use it to create, but I believe we can create something good from here. You can see we've created like flower vase from here. I don't know if it's what it is, but at least we've been able to like create it. So I duplicated it, changed it, flipped it to the other side, and then grouped it. So this is it. You can see it's a group. I've grouped it, and you can see it has changed to something else. Wow, I don't know what I did. I think I just dragged it and it has changed to something else. So you can basically create amazing things in Figma here. So back to what we are discussing. So that's how you can like modify your design and change, maybe like modify the shape to what you want using this editing tools. When you're done, you can click on this done and you go back. We have another feature called the Boolean feature. And what this does is that it helps you to like combine your shapes, right? It helps you to combine your shapes. Let's say, for example, we have this shape here, and you want to like combine, you have like two shapes. Well, how I duplicated was I dragged this element while pressing down Alt, right? I press down on Alt. How you can also duplicate is maybe like Control V, you copy and paste and then drag it out, right? Either of those options, or maybe, yeah. So to combine these elements, some people might say you group them, but there are some what's it called features. Figma has some features that will enable you. Figma has features that will enable you to combine your elements to create Boolean elements. So let's say we have these two elements. Let me change the color of this so we can see the difference, right? So let's say we have this. Once you select both of these elements, the Boolean feature tool shows up. The Boolean tool shows up, and when you open it up, you have your union selection, you have your subtract selection, you have your intersection and exclude selection, right? So your union combines both the elements together. It combines it together. So when we click on union now, it combines it together. And the thing there is that the dominant shape, like which is this one, the dominant shape is always the one at the top. That's the reason when we combined it, the color that dominated the others is the one at the top. So let's say we have this two, and we bring this one to the top. So when you want to bring an element to the top, you just right click and then bring to front. You can say bring it to front. When I select this and maybe like click on union selection, because this one is the one at the top, it's going to dominate the shape, and the shape is going to have the color of this highlighted one. So let's select both of them and then union combine to you can see. So the dominant shape is always the one at the top, and the combined shapes take the color of the dominant shape. That's it for union selection, right? Let's try other Boolean features. So we have these two again, and we select both of them. To select, just highlight all the two elements, or maybe the elements that you want to combine. Then you have subtract. What subtract does is that it removes the area of intersection between the one element and the another one, and leaves out the ones where they are not touched, or maybe where they are not intersected, or maybe where they are not meeting themselves. So what subtract does is that from where these elements meet, which is this point, which is this area hovering around with my mouse, it removes it and then leaves out the area where they are not meeting, right? If you double click now, you can see that the elements still exist, but it's just showing you the parts where they are not meeting. Then you have another one. Let's duplicate again. You have another one, which is intersect. What intersect does is that it removes it retains the area where the elements meet and removes other parts where they are not connected. So let's see from the highlighted, from this highlight, you will see that the area where these two shapes meet is this like center part, and it's just going to intersect. So you're just going to leave that area where they are intersected. Maybe you want to create something amazing, you can use that to create it. And the thing is that you are not just trying out these Boolean features on just rectangles. You can try it on any shape, or any different shape that you want to use, right? Then exclude. What exclude does is exclude removes the area of intersection. It removes the area of intersection of two shapes. Where two shapes meet, it removes it. Why intersect retains the area of intersection, like the area where they meet, it retains it, while exclude removes it, right? So for example, you can use this to maybe like create flag. This is already looking like flag of something or something. When you change it to green, it looks like flag of Nigeria, and the middle part could be maybe like white, right? You can use it to create amazing things. It's not just like on square or maybe like four corner shape, where you can use, like, let's say we'll give this one a color, right? Let's just give it like random colors, right? Let's say this, and we want to maybe like use this to create amazing stuff. Let me duplicate that so we can see. So when we combine union, you can see it can combine and it has created another different shape than what we started with. No, so now this is like a new shape, right? You can use it to create like something beautiful. You can use it to create amazing things, right? I can just combine this, like reduce it, and you have like your patterns. Maybe like you're creating it, you're creating designs and you want to create our patterns from those designs, right? You can just use this method. You can just use this to create amazing things, right? I'm just like randomly duplicating, not that I have anything in mind. Another one, if you try the Boolean feature, if you try to subtract, you can see if you used it to create it. So it removed the point of intersection. You can see to remove the point of intersection from here where they meet. It removed it from that place, and it has created something that looks like one. And you can double click inside the shape to like adjust it. It can be maybe like this one, maybe like this one that you will adjust. You can adjust and create, like drag it. The shapes still exist, but just that they're not like visibly seen, but they still exist in there, right? And you have your subtract. So subtract will just like remove this part and retain this area of intersection where they meet. It retains it. You can see it. Then if you try out exclude, intersect retains the area where they meet. Why exclude? What exclude does is that this area where they meet, to exclude it from the combination or maybe the grouping, right? So it removes it, and you can see you've created something amazing. So let's say this one, you can just take this shape and maybe voila, you've created like a logo that you can use in your design. And from just using these Boolean features, we've been able to create this amazing stuff that can be used on designs or something. You can even choose to probably duplicate this, right, and then rotate, and also rotate this one to create like a floral effect or something like that for your design, right? I'll be able to like create something awesome. You can see this is good, right? But I think I like it the way it was before. But let's continue. So that's it for Boolean features, where you can just come and try out things and see what works and how you can deploy it in your design. Another feature we'll be talking about is something called auto layout. So for example, let's say I have my design, I have my button, right? Let's call it button. I give it corner radius. We talked about corner radius of probably 50. Right? Oh, this button is actually too large. Let's make it a little bit smaller. It's quite large. And zoom in, right? So let's just continue with this one. So we give it corner radius. I want it to be rounded, right? Yeah, I think it's rounded enough. But if you are creating with the normal button size, let's start with 48 by 48 pixels for the height. Yeah. So we have something like this. So if you want to round your corners, maybe make it around 50 is enough for you to round the corners of your button, right? Then we have this button. If we want to create, let's put a text there, button, right? And let's change it to 16, right? This is okay. Because this button, like when you talk about auto layout helps you to create responsive elements or create responsive design. It helps your design to adjust to itself. So for example, if I add, like, let me duplicate this button. because this button is not in auto layout, or it doesn't have auto layout, if I create this, if I add like lots of the, it doesn't adjust. Like I will need to like manually adjust things, adjust this button, maybe like increase it, decrease it, and all those things. I'm just going to teach you the most basic what's it called, form of auto layout, so that you can use it on one or two of your design. But later I'm going to do a separate video that is like mainly tailored to auto layout, and we can discuss the advanced features of an auto layout, right? So that means, back to what we are discussing. So if I need to add anything to this button, that means I need to just manually adjust the button and do all those things. But if, let's say we want to add auto layout to this button now, to add auto layout, you just right click, right? Just right click and say add auto layout, or you can just like press on Shift A and you've added auto layout. Once you added it, to tell you that you've added auto layout. And once you've done that, you can see, just going to delete one, you can see like it has shown you like the properties of that what's it called, button. The padding up. Padding means the space inside an element, right? So the padding top is 14, while the padding left and right is 77. The same thing, but padding bottom, top and bottom is 14. We can choose to change that. We can choose to probably make the padding left and right probably 18. We can choose to make the padding top and bottom change it to 8, and we have our responsive button. And the thing there is that because this button is on all content, you have like fixed. Fixed means that it doesn't when you add like elements inside, it doesn't change the size. It doesn't adjust to the size of the elements that you put inside the button. That's fixed. Hug content or hug content means that it will help the button adjust to the size of the elements or the design that you put inside it, right? So this is still fixed. Let's change it to hot content. Hot content means that because this is on hot content, it means that anything I add to this design, right, it adjusts to the content of that element inside it. The button adjusts to the content of the element inside it. And it's not only on buttons that you can add auto layout. You can add auto layout to practically any element. So let's say you have like more than one buttons and you want to put them on your more than one buttons, and you want to put them on, let's say on your design, let's say your desktop design, right? This is your desktop design, this is your, and this is your, remember I taught you guys how to select your frame. So that's what I did now. So let's change the color of this menu panel, right? And this is your menu panel, and you want to put all these buttons. There. Let's drag these buttons in. So for you to like make this button have different, like the same spacing, you will need to start adjusting. Probably check the space, adjust this one, check the space. To check the space between an element, just press down on Alt and hover on those elements, check the space, and it's a whole lot of work. So how you can actually make this much easier is for you to put all these elements into auto layout by selecting them and then right clicking, go to auto layout, or press Shift A to turn them into auto layout. Now that you've turned them into auto layout, you can see the spacing between them is 67, right? As written here, spacing between items, it shows you here. So you can choose to change it to, by typing, change it to 48, and you can see I'm not having to manually like adjust or something like that. Even when you group the elements, so the difference between auto layouts and grouping the elements. So this is our auto layout. This is our element that has, let's name it auto layout elements, right? Auto layout elements. The difference between this like elements in an auto layout and elements in a group, right? Let's duplicate this and group, right? Number one, if I group them, the spacing between them, number one, they are not the same. You can see the spacing between this one is 46, between this one is, okay, I think they have the same spacing. So the spacing between this one 90, I'll have to like manually start adjusting. This one, spacing between this one and this one is 64. Why this one is 46? Well, you can see the spacing between all these ones, they are the same thing. If I check now, if I select and check, you can see 48. You can see 40, this one 48, this one and this one 48. They're equal. And also one thing about one of the differences between, one of the differences between the auto layout and just a group element. You can see this one is a group, it shows you the group. This one is an auto layout, it shows you it's an auto layout. One of the differences between auto layout and a group is that if I want to add a new element here, let's say I want to add another button here, right? I duplicate this button. I will need to start manually adjusting this element so that they can fit the new button I've added, which is this one. Let me change the color. The new button I added, which is this one, will fit. So, and also let's assume I want to move this button to this place. I will have to like manually start adjusting again to start moving and start moving, then move this one. So I'm moving by just dragging it, right? I'm start moving, and which is a whole lot of work compared to, let me duplicate this button, compared to if I'm adding it, if this, what's it called, grouping, compared to if this grouping is, compared to if this group is also, what I will just do is to just copy and select the group, what's it called, element, and paste it. You can see it just like automatically paste the element. If I want to move it from here to probably the second row, to the second row, or the second what's it called, element, I want it to be the second element, I'll just use my arrow keys, right, and start moving it. You can see I'll use my arrow keys to move it, and it's just like fast and quick, right? I'm using my arrow key left and right to move it, right? And that's the beauty about auto layout. So it helps you to create responsive elements, and that allows you to like make quick edits and all, right? We'll just discuss auto layout in detail, like in full, but this is just like the most basic form of using auto layout. You can use it on your text. The same thing applies to using your text, auto layout text again. But you use it on paragraph. But let me just limit it to this one so I don't overwhelm you with too much features and all. That is it on auto layout. So another feature we'll be discussing is masking, like this one here called mask, use a mask, right? And the thing is that most of these features are activated when some elements are selected. So for example, if I select this, that's when this particular toolbar shows up, right? And you see some tools that you can use. So one of the other tools that we'll be discussing again is masks. So what mask does is that it puts another element inside the other. So for example, if I take this, let me duplicate these two shapes. If I select these shapes and click on mask, right, it combines all of them. It puts one of the elements inside the other, right? And then you can actually adjust the marks to fit your preference. Let's see how one of the ways you can use a mask on your design is probably using image and shape, right? That's one of the ways you can also use mask. Let's say I want to put this particular image inside this circle, right? If I take it and probably bring it up, bring to front, right? Bring to front and combine it, it's not going to take the shape. One of the ways I can make it like stay inside the shape now, remember this shape is at the back of this design, is to use marks. With marks, I can put this particular image inside this, this circle. So what I will do is to select both of them. You can see the image is highlighted and the circle is also highlighted. You can see this blue highlight. So once I select both of them, I'm just going to click on marks. And the thing is that your marks puts the element on the top inside the element behind it, right? Because this image was at the top of this circle, that's why we're able to like mask it to make it be inside the circle, right? So for example, this is it. We've been able to create something amazing with this mask by putting the image inside it. So let's assume that, let me copy the image again. Let's assume that this circle was the one at the top, like this circle. Any image you want to put inside another image, or any element you want to put inside another element to make the element stay at the top. If I want this circle to stay inside this image, then I leave it at the top. If I want this image to be inside this circle, like what to created here, I bring the image to the top. So let's try out something and see. Let's select this. Because this circle is at the top, it's going to take the position of that image. It's going to be placed inside the image. So let's see, you can see it has been placed inside the image, right? It has been placed inside the image. That's it for masking. So you can use masking on any element, not just circle. You can use it on any shape, right? Let's say you want to put this, let's just draw a random shape as well. Let's not use like all this custom shape. Let's just draw a random shape with our pen tool, right? Let's just draw something random. Maybe like modify it with the curves. Let's just modify and modify something. Just draw something random, right? To see how it will. So we are going to give this shape that we've drawn a feel, like the color, by adding color. To add something, just press the plus icon and add. You get, and we're going to remove the stroke. So to remove, you just click on that minus sign. Maybe you hide it if you don't want to remove it entirely, right? So we want to place this image inside this our random shape that we've created. What we'll do is just like, let's increase the image a little bit and bring it to front, right? Bring it to front and select all of them. You can see the image is selected and the random shape that we drew is also selected. So what we do, now that they've been selected, just going to select this mask, and it places that image inside it. We can just double click, like go in, right, and adjust the image to maybe like take the position we want it to be, and voila, we've created something amazing. Created this and this, right? You can literally use it to create amazing things on your design. So that's the feature, mask. So you can deploy it, try it out on so many things to see what works for you. I believe you'll get like amazing stuff out of it. Then you have something called components. Let's talk about components. So basically, when you are creating a design, you will have something like, let's say you want to use, let me duplicate this design. Let's say you have like several designs, and this button, you want to use this button on several of your designs. Let me detach this, we'll come back to that. Maybe you want to use it on almost all your designs. To remove the shadow. Almost all your designs, you want to use this button here, and maybe like you have it on several of your designs. Let's say these are the designs that we've created. We have like plenty of this design, and maybe like tomorrow your client comes back and tells you that, oh, I don't want us to use this design again. I don't want us to use this color of what's it called, button again. I want us to use another button color. So it will require, if the button, let's assume the button is not a component, or the button was not componentized, you will need to go through each and every of these designs and then edit them. And the thing there is that it's a whole lot of work. So for you to work smarter and faster, it's always advisable for you to componentize all the elements, or any element that you will use, like you will use mostly in your design, or you will use in like different parts of your design that you're going to use repeatedly. So it's always advisable for you to componentize elements that you use multiple times in your design, right? So how we can do that? So if I want to change this color of this now, I'll have to start like going through each and every one of them, changing them, coming here, changing this one, maybe like selecting this color, changing this one, and it's a whole lot of work. So what we can do to like minimize this stress is like taking this button. So let's say this is the initial color that we are working with, and let's name this button, right? This is the initial color we are working with, and we want to create a parent element for it so that anytime our customer or maybe our client wants to make an update, we don't need to like start changing each of the updates or maybe each of the elements one by one. So what we can do is just select this and componentize. You can see create a component, and it will create a component for you, right? You create a component, or you right click. When you right click, come down here, you can see create a component. But the fastest way is for you to like click on this, and voila, you've created a component. When you look at this now, when you look at this, you will see this button. You'll see that this component, right, this parent component has like a diamond that has other smaller diamonds inside. It has a diamond that has smaller diamond that has color inside. If I create an instance, so creating an instance of this is probably, it's just basically like you're copying and pasting, copying and using it. So these two buttons are instances or instance of this parent element. So how you know an instance is that an instance has a diamond, but the diamond is empty, doesn't have any color inside. So this is an instance. This is a parent element for this instance. So let's say we have these instances on like these buttons on these other designs, right? We have these buttons on these other designs. So I'm just going to select them, select all these, and Control Shift R to replace them. I don't know what. Oh, okay, I've not detached them. Control Shift R. Oh, it's not. Okay, yeah. Control Shift R to replace them. I think I'll replace them. Then this one as well. This one as well. This one as well. Control Shift R to replace them. So let's say that tomorrow the client comes back and tells me that, oh, I don't want to use this color of buttons anymore. I want us to modify it to another color. So what I would do is to come to the parent element, right? Come to the parent element and then modify the color to the color that the client wants. You can see as I'm modifying this parent element, this is the one I'm changing the color, this one. As I'm changing the color of this parent element, it's affecting all others. You can see it's affecting every other one in the design. See, you can see it's affecting every other one in the design. That's it. So I don't have to like start changing each of them one by one. You have to like come and start clicking and changing. That's a whole lot of. So this is how to like maximize efficiency and speed in your design, right? So that's basically. Then you have something called variance. So variance basically is that, let's say I want to use this button in different variations. I want to use this button maybe like when it has fill and when it doesn't have a fill. So what I would do is to create a variant for it. If you hover on this, once you componentize an element, it will give you the option to create a variant for it, which is this top. When you hover on this thing now, it shows you what it does, that it's add variant. So once you click on it, it creates another variant, like creates a second version of that button for you, right? So let's say I want this one to have another property. Maybe I want it to have maybe like I want it to have like stroke, right? I want this one to have like stroke, and I don't want it to have a fill. I just want it to have a stroke, and the stroke should have this color, and this one also should have this color. You can see I've created a variant for it, and I'm going to name the variant. Let's call this one default, and this one let's call it outline, right? Like outlined button. If I come here now, if I duplicate this one, let's say I bring this one out, I copy this or cut it. Let's take this design and delete these buttons and let's paste it here, right? So if I take this now and say, oh, I want to use this button here, but this button I'm using here now, I don't want to use it here. I want to use the other one, right? I want to use the other style. What I will do is to just come to this button property part and change it to to this, but we need to give it a name, outlined. We didn't give it a property here. Okay, so yeah, so once I come here, because I've given this one a property of default and this one a property of and this one a property of outline, right? So once I come here, I will then select this outline and or select this other select the outline or maybe select the default, right? So I can just alternate and select instead of me to start creating here. I'll go to another screen, create. I'll go to another screen, create. So creating variant helps you to ease the work as well. Now there's what is called interactive components, right? Let's say I want it when, let me put it, I want it when I hover on this, right? When I hover on this button now that I've created, it should show me this particular field one. Let me bring it up. If I hover on this particular button now, it should show me this. How can we make it? So we can make this variant or maybe component that we've created. Maybe we can make it interactive. How we can do that is by connecting the screens, right? So instead of it on click, instead of us clicking it, because on click is when you tap on it, or maybe when you click your mouse on it, then it changes to this. But we want it like when we want to hover on it, while hovering, it should change. I mean, no. Want it while hovering. This is the one we are working with. When we hover on this one, it changes to this, right? So we change it while hovering, we change it to that. Now, when we present this, remember we already have this, so we don't need to pick it again. So let's present this. So to present your screen, you just click on this this play button. You can see present. Once you click on this play button, right at the right hand side of your screen, it presents your screen here. You can see this screen is already presenting. So when we hover on it now, you can see, because this is an interactive component, because this is an interactive component, it's now showing us here. Once we hover on it, it changes to this one because we've set it that once the user hovers on it, it will change to the other one, which makes it helps to spice up your design and it makes it more interesting to use, right? So we've discussed components, we've discussed variants, and we've discussed interactive components. There are other ways, there are several ways to use your components. Another way, there are several ways to use it. You can use an example of this now. You can use this one. Let's group this element by putting it in a frame selection, right? Let's call this card, right? Let's call this a card and duplicate it, right? Let's duplicate it and make this image. Let's make this image inside smaller, right? And bring this text up, right? And have these two cards. Let's have these two cards. What we will do now, what we want is when a user hovers on this image becomes bigger like this, like it changes to this one. Let's see how it can make our design cool, look interesting, right? So we've componentized these two cards. I've changed this one into a component. I've changed this one into a component. So I'm going to turn them into a variant. So once you change them into a component or change them into component, you can see another way to create variants. So combine as variants. So it changes to as variants. That means this one is another version of this, and this is another version of this. So now let's turn it into an interactive prototype. Component. So what you want is when a user hovers on this, or maybe when a user presses, let's use while pressing because we used hovering before. So when a user presses on this one, it changes to this one. When they release their hand, it goes off. Let's put it in smart animate, right? Okay. So now let's copy this and replace it with. Let's copy and replace it. So Control-Shift-R to replace. So once we go here now, because we're already presenting the screen, once you press on this screen, you can see, once you press on it, it becomes bigger. If you release, it becomes smaller. Once you press on it, it becomes big. once you release your hand, it becomes small. So this is one of the ways to make your design look amazing and beautiful, right? Then you have like maybe like prototyping your screens. So when you talk about prototyping, it has to do with you like creating your screen, like creating a clickable version of your screen so that your users can be able to navigate it. Let's say you want to carry out, I'm going to use these buttons again because that purple is not okay. Well, I'm just going to change the colors here. Let me modify the color from here, right? So just give me a minute so I can select this color. Yeah. And this. And also select this. You can see the way I'm using the color picker to select colors. So once you go back here, yeah, it has changed. You can see it has changed because we've modified the colors here on the parent elements, right? So creating a prototype or maybe clickable prototypes is a way for you to like create like a flow for your users to use your product. In terms, maybe when you're conducting usability tests, or maybe you're presenting it to your stakeholders or maybe your clients to see how the product is going to work when the developer is building it, or how it's going to work when it has been developed. So one of the ways you can do it is, how you can do is to creating a prototype. So let's say want the user to move from this screen to this screen and then this screen. Then let's connect the screen. So connect it here, and you have like different flows. On click, right? On click, you can navigate, or click, or maybe on drag, or while hovering, while pressing key and mouse enter. Any of that, you're going to can just try any of them out. So on drag means that you have to drag the screen for you to move to the other screen. But I'm just going to use on click. So you can try out all these ones after watching the videos, right? Then I want the user to move from this screen to this screen, but let's modify the screen a little bit so that it doesn't look that dry. Let's make this let's maybe like make these images. Let's make these images bigger, right? Let's make it. No, sorry. Let's make this. Let's bring this down, and then make this image a little bit bigger. Oh, it's not increasing. Let me use K and make it a little bit bigger, and just leave the couples in the middle exactly. So let's say we want to just leave the couple in the middle. Yep. So we can have like spice up something, like we can have something like this. Oh, we have like, okay, we don't have, so we can have like something beautiful here. So instead of us having, let's create this. So let's give this a name so that I can animate to this one. Let's call this couple, right? Remember, this is different from this because we've actually like componentized this one, but this one is a different one. And we also call these guys couple, right? So they have the same name, so they can animate them. So when the user clicks on this, it comes to this. And how can they go back? They can go back by maybe like probably dragging, maybe like dragging their screen. Let's say on drag, move out, or move out. Yeah. So let's present and see what we can get from there. By presenting, you press on this what's it called, the play icon to present. So once you click on it, you can see we still have our hover animation. Once you click on this, you can see we still have our hover animation. Click on this, changes to this one. Then when you click on this one, you can see it changes to this. You can see the way it's animated, and you can click on this one, changes to this one. So that on drag, what on drag does that once I drag it, you can see I'm dragging it away from the screen and it's just going back to the original screen. So you can see this animation, just little things can make your animation or maybe your screen flow to come to life. You can see, just drag it and remove it from the screen. Then we're talking about exporting your elements. Let's say you finish designing, right? Design, and you want to export it and use it on other places. Maybe you want to post it on Twitter or something. You want to export this particular screen. What you will do is to come to export, and then change the resolution style. How sharp you want the design to look. You want it to not look too sharp. If you want it to look very presentable and professional, you can use 4x, right? But depending on the one you select, the size of the export, or the size of the image that you exported could be actually be larger than maybe if you exported it with a smaller resolution. Then you can export in PNG. PNG means that it doesn't have a background. JPEG gives it a background by default. Then SVG means that you're exporting the editable version. If you want someone else to, maybe the person you're sending this design to, like, have access to the editing style, to edit it, like change some certain things, probably the color, the text, and then you can export it as an SVG, right? If you don't want, you can export it either as a PNG or JPEG. If you want to export it as a document, you can export it as a PDF, right? If you want it to be in form of a document. So we're going to export as a PNG. Open our download file now. We can bring it in. This is the exported image we've exported in. Now, remember, when you look at this one, it shows you like the properties, like shows you color. You can change it and modify it. When you look at this exported, this one version that we exported, right? You can see now it's showing you image. That means you can't edit it. It's already an image like you exported it, and you exported it as PNG. That's why it doesn't have color, right? So I hope I've been able to like walk you through the Figma this Figma usage, how to navigate through it. If you have further questions, you can leave it on the comment section. I look forward to seeing the amazing things that you guys will create with this interface. Like in subsequent videos, we'll discuss some certain things, like we discuss variants in details, components in details. We'll discuss maybe like create interfaces, create designs from scratch, right? But this is just an introductory video for those that are still coming, that are new to Figma, for them to get a hang of how to use Figma as a tool. So thank you very much, and see you next time.